Hi, this is Hunter Hastings with Delaware News Media, here to provide you with an exclusive interview with a candidate for the Newark mayor race. And here today we are to introduce Mr. Kasai Guthrie, candidate for Newark mayor. Mr. Kasai, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here. How are you doing?
I'm doing quite well today. Love this fact that I get to be able to provide your exclusive for Delaware News Media.
Thank you so much. I appreciate being here.
Thank you. We appreciate you being here as well.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about who Kasai is and what you do, things of that nature.
So Kasai, I grew up here in Newark, Delaware, and I went to many public and private schools. Started at Wilmington Friends, went to Jenny Smith, went to Kirk Middle School, went to Centerville Layton, went to Glasgow, and finished up at Salesianum Annam School in Wilmington. I've been committed to service my whole life. I founded an organization called We Need Our Fathers, which helps reestablish relationships between fathers and their children. I started an app in 10th grade called Nexter, and I partnered with Capital One Bank to produce that app, and that app teaches financial literacy to children that don't really have the means and needs to learn financial literacy. Now I'm currently a University of Delaware student studying entrepreneurship, and I'm running for mayor of Newark.
Wow, sounds like you definitely have a lot of experience, a lot of interest that you've gained over the time, and sounds like you definitely are on a good path. And so what inspired you to run for mayor of Newark?
So there was an incident in September of last year where I was faced with discrimination in the city of Newark, and I could have answered negatively to the situation, but I wanted to answer it positively. So after hearing from other people of their stories of facing discrimination in the city of Newark, I wanted to basically find solutions for the problem. So I started going to the city council meetings, getting really involved in the community of the city of Newark, and I found that it was a lot of problems going on that wasn't really being shown in the public. And being an entrepreneur, I wanted to create solutions for those problems. So right now I'm running for mayor of Newark, looking to give students a voice because many of them feel voiceless with this current city council, and I'm looking to bridge the gap between the residents and the students. So that's what really sparked my interest in running for mayor.
So would you say that definitely the residents and the students are definitely have quite a divide? UD with the people, the residents of Newark?
Yeah, it's a big divide. But one thing I love mentioning is if you ask either side if they love Newark, they're both going to say yes. So that's what I want to use. I want to use their common love of Newark as that thread to bring them together. And it's a divide with the city and also the university. And I'm meeting with officials of the university and also, high officials of the current city to basically get everybody on the same page. Newark is big enough for students to be students, families to raise their kids, and senior citizens to live peacefully. So it's big enough for everybody to, live peacefully and prosper.
Okay. So, I couldn't happen but going back to, you mentioning about the students not really, or feeling that they don't have a voice with the current city council.
Yeah.
What are some of the issues that you believe that the city council has, decisions that the city council has made that have made the students feel that they have lost their voice or have no voice at all?
Yeah.
What are some of those current things going on that, really spark that type of conversation?
After speaking with a lot of sorority groups, one thing that sparked my interest was female safety on campus. Every year for the past few years, there's been increasing rates of sexual assaults and crimes of that nature. And that's really big to me because I've grown up in a single parent household with my mom, and I have two sisters, and in that same house I grew up in was with my aunt and my grandmom. So, female safety is extremely important to me.
Absolutely.
And right now, they just passed an ordinance called the Unruly Gathering Ordinance. And it had too much gray area, too much. It was poorly written, and I wasn't a big fan of the ordinance. I was very vocal about being in opposition of that. And they just feel voiceless on campus. They feel as though like they're always a target, simply from the police department. And I wanted to basically give them a voice. So, I met with the chief of the police department to talk about how we can improve community relations between the two. And I'm looking to bridge the gap with my campaign. One thing that I've been, very vocal about is I'm not the politician that's looking to make false promises. Everything that is on my comprehensive plan, I'm working to accomplish that before I'm even elected. So I'm just getting ready to work, I'm excited about this election, and I'm excited to see, what happens with it.
Okay. Sticking to what you were just mentioning about the unruly gathering, couldn't help but notice that you said there's a lot of gray area. Would you mind defining what that gray area is that you speak of?
Yeah, so the gray area is, only 4 people can start, the ordinance. And I think that's a lot of gray areas simply because in normal student rentals, there are 6 people that live in a house. So you could take 6 people living on a porch, playing music loud, and keep doing all these things on the ordinance to get this fine. Plus, Delaware is one of the few states where if you don't pay a court fine, then you can go to jail. And the court fines for the unruly gathering ordinance is really high for college students. The other gray area is cars can't come pick students up after the party ends, meaning I think it's 1,000 feet outside the party. Ubers and Lyfts can't come pick up these students after party. So that's huge on my radar because that makes female students walk home alone and not want to use Ubers and Lyfts due to the unruly gathering. So it has a lot of gray area. I spoke about it at the city council. I talked about the city council making actual real solutions, not just creating new laws that fit their narrative and help their demographic of voters. I feel as though the current city council only helps the demographic of property owners in Newark, and I feel as though they should be helping the students as well. So I'm looking to give the students a voice.
So with the unruly gathering, staying on that topic for a moment, how did the residents respond to the unruly gathering ordinance?
It's 50-50. Some residents came to me and we met, and they felt as though they don't really like it because their kids go to UD and they don't want them to have to pay fines. And other residents who are rideshare drivers, such as Uber and Lyft drivers, they don't like it because they feel as though the rideshare economy in Newark isn't really what it should be. And this unruly gathering ordinance really messed up the rideshare economy. So, it's 50-50. I want to be very vocal about, the students definitely agree in the attention of the unruly gathering. We definitely feel as though, residents do deserve a quality of life. We just feel as though we shouldn't create new laws that isn't the full solution to the problem. You should actually brainstorm and think about ways to push students away from the residential areas. And, part of my comprehensive plan is that.
So with that unruly gathering law, would you say that maybe perhaps that a lot of the residents that are that take that into consideration, who may be in favor, may not necessarily understand the full implications and how it could affect them, and how they might have their little family gatherings and things of that nature too? Yeah,
some residents that are against the unruly gathering definitely spoke of, from that perspective, say if they have, a family or a graduation party for their kids, will they get it unruly gathering? I just don't agree with the ordinance. I think that we should really be creating more solutions rather than Band-Aid solutions, is what I like to call them, that don't really solve the full problem.
That's a good one. I like that.
Yeah.
So, with that in mind, kind of moving on from here. So, how old are you, Mr. Kasai?
I just turned 21 in December 19th.
Okay, well, happy belated birthday.
Yeah, thank you.
So, you're 21 and you're running for mayor. Mm-hmm. How are people receiving that, knowing that you're a young candidate?
It's really different. I tell people that, if you want to bash me for being young, you have to look at my credentials. You have to look at, what I accomplished. And then they start looking at my accomplishments and my awards and all the service that I've done in my past, and it doesn't compare to a normal 21-year-old. One thing that I am very vocal about is there's only 2 states in America that has increasing poverty rates, and that is West Virginia and Delaware. And in order to create change in this state, we need to stop voting the same leadership in office, especially because we're voting the same people in office looking for changes to happen when no changes will happen if we keep doing the same thing. So, I'm definitely vocal in, younger people getting into politics to spark that change. We know exactly what we want, and we're very good at uniting people to get behind us, and that's what I'm doing with my campaign.
Okay, so I hear you mentioned some points about a comprehensive plan.
Yeah.
Would you mind sharing some of those? And for those who want to know more in-depth information, where can they find that comprehensive plan at?
Yeah, so you can find my comprehensive plan at www.kasaifornewark.com. It's right there, right on my website. And what's on my comprehensive plan is it's a lot. I cover every demographic from students to senior citizens, but I can definitely talk about one of the most important ones to me, and that is private-public partnerships with the university. The current city council keeps, going to the university asking for more money and more money, but I think we need to hold the University of Delaware accountable in making sure they have a bigger impact in our community by creating programs and things of that nature to, have a more impact. I'm a big fan of private-public partnerships because I think, local governments blindly spend tax dollars, and I don't really agree with that. People don't know that the University of Delaware was named a opportunity zone, which gives developers and companies tax reductions if they, bring their companies to Delaware. And I met with the economic director of the Star Campus to hold those companies accountable and making sure they're doing more in our community of Newark. We have one of the best universities in the nation in our backyard, and it's no reason why everybody shouldn't be reaping those benefits of that university.
Okay, so knowing more about your comprehensive plan, I guess that kind of leads into the question about your opponents, the other candidates. What are they counter-offering as far as what you say in your comprehensive plan proposal? What are their counter-proposals to what you're doing? And what sets you apart also? It's a 2-part question here. What sets you apart from your other opponents?
Yeah, it's crazy you asked that. I always... my question that I've always been asking the residents is, how do you know exactly who you are voting for if they haven't released a comprehensive plan? I go on my candidates' websites and reload them every single day to see if they're going to release a plan for what they're going to do after they're elected. I haven't seen anything yet. So my stance is, how do you know exactly who to vote for if they don't, if they're not telling you who, what they're going to do after they're elected? So I can't really comment on the other candidates' plans because I haven't seen any, but I can say how I differ from them is I relate to different backgrounds of people. I can communicate clearly to different demographics. Growing up, my mom in a single-parent household with me and my 3 siblings, we were homeless in the beginning. And then I watched my mom grow her company into a successful company and send us all to college and private school. So I can communicate differently from different demographics. That's why I don't really relate to a political party, simply because I see both sides of the political party. That's why I'm in favor of not even having political parties. Let's just get candidates in office that have solutions that help out everybody.
Right.
That's how I differ. I can communicate clearly to different demographics of people.
So what you were saying is definitely because you want to represent your opponents well and accurately from what it sounds like.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is, based on what you know, is that you definitely have the ability to reach across, let's say, the aisle and to generations.
Yeah.
As far as being able to bring everyone together as people of Newark, and not saying student or resident. It's more like just citizens of Newark.
Citizens of Newark. Right now, the residents don't view the students as real residents of Newark simply because they don't own property and they are only in Newark for a little bit amount of months of the year. But I tell them, how are they different from families and senior citizens who rent? You know, families who rent sign 12-month leases and they pay their rent. Students who rent in Newark sign 12-month leases and they pay their rent. So they're both allowed to vote. I just feel as though instead of, you know, putting titles on different groups, we should treat everyone, you know, equal and provide solutions that help out everyone, not just the demographic that owns property in Newark. But, you know, we should help out the senior citizens. We should help out the families in poverty. We should help out, you know, the students. And we should create solutions for all those different groups of people.
Yeah, so it definitely sounds like, you know, you're reaching out in that direction of being able. So among those who are receptive to your campaign, who do you find are the most receptive in Newark?
Other than the students, I would say, you know, the younger residents and the older residents that want to change, you know, that are tired of the same things happening, that are tired of tax increases. I've been very vocal that I'm not in favor of tax increases simply because if we're already blindly spending the tax dollars, why are we going to keep increasing taxes that have no impact in our community? You know, those are definitely the ones that are being more receptive. You know, other residents have been emailing me and messaging me on Facebook, and I've been replying very fast, and so that's a positive. You know, they've been telling me that, you know, my response time is better from the other candidates. But, you know, I'm not the candidate that's going to tell you everything you want to hear for a vote. You know, that's another thing. I'm very authentic. We can sit and have a very positive discussion on what our perspectives are on a subject, and at the end of that conversation we can agree to disagree and we can keep going, keep moving forward. You know, I don't want to tell residents everything they want to hear and make false promises, because that's not who I am. You know,
right?
Everything on my comprehensive plan is everything that I promised to do and I'm already working to do.
So considering past campaigns, because I mean this is a very unique campaign in itself, that, you know, a 21-year-old is running for mayor of Newark, an entrepreneur of all things, a UD student of all things, as you know, you would say. What are you doing differently from past campaigns to you know, bring in that vote? Because if we're being fair, you have a long road ahead and it's quite a challenge from what it seems like. So what are you doing differently from past campaigns of other people and differently from your opponents that's setting you apart and really bringing in those, you know, voters that you need to be able to cross that finish line and be able to wake up on April 10th and go, I'm mayor-elect of Newark?
So what I'm doing differently is I'm bringing, you know, the entrepreneurial background into the situation, meaning for marketing. Taking what I know about marketing a business to marketing a candidate, which is myself. And with Newark being very small and only having 30,000 people, it's not that hard to really market yourself. So after organizing with the fraternities and the sororities to register all their members, I think we registered 435 members, I'm not sure. We were able to, you know, reach out to other groups. You know, I reached out to a lot of the business owners to see how, you know, I could reach, you know, their target market. But I'm not doing anything different. I'm not doing anything that is, you know, crazily out of this world different. You know, I'm keeping everything organic. I'm making it so I'm able to reach out to my people and really, you know, move them in ways to get the vote. So I'm not doing anything different. I'm definitely, you know, still knocking on doors. You know, social media marketing. I'm just trying to market myself. That's all.
Bringing that entrepreneur spirit, right?
Exactly.
So since we're kind of running out of time here now, is there anything you would want the viewers to know about you? Any closing last words that you would like to say? Yeah,
you know, one thing that I would like to say is, you know, I'm all about Newark. I was born and raised in Newark, so I spent 21 years there, and you know, I want to see it prosper. I want, you know, 21 years like that.
I see what you did there.
I want to see it prosper, you know. But one thing that I don't want to see happen is we put the same leadership in office and we get the same result. You know, I really want the residents to know that in order to change, we need to change the leadership that is in office. And, you know, I want them to read my comprehensive plan. You can find it on kasaifornewark.com. And I want you to compare my plan to the other candidates when they release their plan. And I want you to vote for the best candidate possible. And I'm not going to tell you everything you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what's best for all the constituents of Newark. And part of my plan, you know, proves that. So I'm excited for April 9th. I think it's about 6 days away.
All right.
And it's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good election.
That's great to hear. Well, Mr. Kasai, it was a pleasure having you on Delaware News Media. This concludes our interview with Mr. Kasai. Thank you on Delaware News Media.